Prior to Sunday's 5-3 loss to the New York Mets, a loss that completed the Mets' 3-game sweep of the Giants here at Oracle Park, a sweep rather, that now has the Giants record at 54-52 on the season. Manager Bob Melvin was asked about the looming July 31st trade deadline, about the roster as a whole, and Melvin said something to the effect of he believed the Giants have enough here to go to where they want to go. Where they want to go, of course, being the playoffs and ultimately the World Series and ultimately win a World Series title. And we've seen in spurts with this team that the talent is definitely there. This is a team that has 3 All-Stars, as well as the likes of Willie Adames, Matt Chapman, Rafael Devers. But the last 3 games have proven in particular, again, with the looming July 31st trade deadline, that this team, as currently constructed, may not have enough for this Giants team to go to where they want to go. And that was laid bare as far as how this sweep unfolded. And digging into this game in particular, it was the first time that the Giants have had to use a scheduled bullpen game this entire year. Matt Gage began things with a clean inning of relief and then set things off from there, which again highlights, as we talked about earlier this week, highlights this team's need to add additional starting pitching. And the offense went 0 for 23 with runners in scoring position over the course of this entire series. It's the first time in franchise history, let me back that up. It's the first time since 1931 that the Giants have gone at least 0 for 20 with runners in scoring position in a given series. Obviously, the first time since they've moved to San Francisco. And to kind of dig into each of these parts of things, the starting pitching and the offense. As far as the starting pitching, the Giants, of course, as I mentioned, had to ultimately use a bullpen game today. I think they used 5 relievers, that being Matt Gage, Spencer Bivens, Joey Lucchesi, Randy Rodriguez, and Sean Jelly. I believe those were the only 5 relievers that they used today. And tomorrow they're going to have Carson Whisenhunt make his Major League debut. They're planning to start him. We could potentially see Carson Seymour following that as well, kind of get a double dip of Carson action, so to say. But with Hayden Birdsong currently with AAA Sacramento and Landon Roop on the injury list, and again, this is something that we talked about earlier in this week, the Giants are going to need to beef up their starting rotation in a significant way, because even with Roop's injury expected to be on the minor side of things, even with the possibility that he might be back in the rotation as soon as early August, there are cracks in the foundation of this rotation compared to what we saw at the very beginning of this year when they had a lot of options. Again, Kyle Harrison is no longer here. Jordan Hicks is no longer here. Hayden Birdsong, for the time being, is no longer here. And the Giants may see Carson Whisenhunt as someone that can be a mainstay in this rotation long term. But when you think of a stretch drive, this isn't exactly the scenario in which you want to throw a rookie, or rookies plural if you want to consider Carson Seymour part of this. This isn't exactly a scenario where you want to throw them into the fire. In an ideal world, you're able to throw them in lower leverage circumstances, say, having them up at the very beginning of the season, or maybe in May, maybe in June. But this is a time of year when every game matters. There are risks that come with, having the likes of a Whisenhunt or Seymour kind of be the foundational parts of a rotation as you go into the stretch drive. So looking at the state of the rotation, and even, kind of factoring in as well Logan Webb and Robbie Ray's struggles as of recent, Justin Verlander's inconsistency since returning from his right pec injury. These should be signals that the Giants front office needs to add to their starting rotation, even with the assortment of arms that they have. They do have options. There are options that they do have available, but given how everything has unfolded, it is in their best interest to add an arm or two. As far as the offense, I mentioned the 0 for 23 stat. The Giants did have an opportunity to ultimately tie this game in the bottom of the 9th inning against all-star closer Edwin Diaz. Diaz basically gives the Giants a free rally, walking Jung Hoo Lee and Rafael Devers, and then grazing Elliot Ramos with a slider. And when I say grazing, I mean it barely touched him. And that sets the table with 1 out, trailing by 2 in the bottom of the 9th inning for Willie Adames, Matt Chapman, the heart of this team's order. Adames and Chapman both strike out. Game's over, and the Giants are ultimately swept. And over the course of this series, the Giants only ended up scoring 5 runs. But what's especially odd about that in particular is that we're finally starting to see Adames and Chapman and Rafael Devers all clicking on offense at the same time. Chapman in particular was responsible for all of San Francisco's runs today. He had a solo homer, and then he had a 2-run homer as well. It was initially a struggle for him when he returned from the injured list. I think in those first 8 games, upon returning from the injured list, it was something like a 400 OPS, and now when you factor in today's game, I think in the 8 games of the second half, it's something north of 1,000 OPS. Willy Adames has been swinging a hot bat all of July. Rafael Devers, again, has really been starting to come alive with the bat. But even with kind of the core 3 of this lineup starting to perform, it just hasn't been enough for this offense to consistently score runs. And at the conclusion of today's game, the Giants are 23rd in runs scored. They're 24th in OPS overall, and they're 24th in OPS with runners in scoring position. And when Chapman was asked about the runners in scoring position after the game, he said, it's kind of just an odd thing. It's not for a lack of trying. It's just that they haven't been able to consistently get those hits in big moments since April, really. April, they were excellent with runners in scoring position, one of the best teams in baseball with runners in scoring position, but since May, they've been one of the worst.